Hello.
Hello.
Hey friends.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Amanda.
And you are listening to Pop, Crime, and Wine.
Whoop whoop. Welcome.
Hi.
So we've gotten a lot of feedback on our past 5 episodes, and we're really excited to kind of switch it up a little bit. We would love if all of you would let us know how you feel about it. Recently we've been doing pop, crime, and random.
So we decided after hearing the feedback to kind of combine the pop culture aspect and our random topic so that 2 of us would be researching the same thing, and then we could discuss it as a whole and kind of get to talk a little bit more about that instead of having to rush through 2 separate topics for that.
Yeah, just going a little bit more in depth and having more perspective on one. I feel like sometimes what we've been doing is we come into this without discussing anything ahead of time so that it's a surprise factor. But we also want to be able to like communicate with each other on like how we feel about things. And sometimes it's easier to do that after we have researched it a little bit.
Right.
So.
And then we can dedicate a little bit more time to our true crime.
Yes.
True crime.
So that being said, why don't we see who's sponsored this episode?
Yes, so this episode is brought to us by Nadia Smith. She bought us a bottle of Cupcake Red Velvet.
Yum.
And we're super excited. And here it goes.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
Papa Top brought to you by TT. Get that nice pour.
Save some for the rest of us, TT.
I was like, okay. There's half of it.
I've had a day.
That's fine. We did have some pre-wine.
But, Red Velvet is actually one of my favorite wines.
Is it also your
Cupcake.
favorite cake flavor?
It is, surprisingly.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's all about that cream cheese icing.
That's the reason I don't like red velvet cake.
I love all cakes that have cream cheese icing.
I was going to say, cream cheese frosting is my favorite, but I like vanilla cake.
But with cream cheese frosting?
Yeah.
Yeah, decadent and like...
Decadent.
Ugh.
Wow.
Okay, so who is pop culture?
Amanda and Mandy.
Yeah, we did.
We did it.
Oh yeah, I guess with this, it's kind of like...
We did it together.
If it's not me, it's
separately
both of you.
together. Yes.
Like, I know exactly who it is.
Yeah, this is a redundant question.
Oh, it wasn't me. So
2 out of 3.
ain't bad.
Ain't bad.
Thanks, Meatloaf. Shout out.
What is that in?
It's a song.
Meatloaf.
It's a Meatloaf song.
I know.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's the name of the song.
Really?
Yes.
I'm out of touch.
Well, it came out in like the 80s. So.
No, I know, but I feel that I should be better in touch with my musical past.
It's a good thing we're talking about music today.
Woo. We are.
Speaking
that
of-
brings wow, that was a good
That was
segue.
a great segue. That was not planned.
So we decided to research music therapy / music's effect on people, on the brain, and on emotions and all that jazz. Do you want to go first? Amanda kind of did. Did you?
Yeah.
Do, like,
So I
childhood
researched music during childhood development. Okay, so I looked up a whole bunch of different things, and because I have a few friends that are pregnant currently, and I know that they like play music for their unborn children.
Oh yeah, what do
so
they call
cute.
it? Baby, not Baby Einstein, because he...
No, Baby
That's a
Einstein
TV
is
show
a
that
TV
does
thing.
it though too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Baby Einstein is like a company, I think, on top of just like the TV.
They make
the TV
toys
show
and
is
stuff.
Little Einsteins, I think, and there's like a whole channel, like TV channel,
It's like
dedicated to like Baby Einstein.
I was going to reference that also to the dog one, but then it's not the same. They have like a channel just for dogs.
Oh, when you leave them at home.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so they have a channel for babies when you leave them at home too.
Don't do this, please. None of us have kids yet, so
That's why.
That's why it's still funny.
But we have a lot of friends that are pregnant and trying to like play music for their babies. And my dad always has said that the reason that I'm so smart is because he used to talk to me and play music for me when I was in the womb.
What did he play, though?
That's the
Pink
one
Floyd?
thing. Yes, he played a lot of Pink Floyd. So I don't know if that means...
Shout out to Dale.
Means you're a very deep thinker.
Oh, yeah, I'm very existential.
Yep. That's it.
And I'm sure that the way that my dad talked to me when I was in the womb was also very existential. So,
Oh, conspiracy theories, like talking to some baby about how the
He's like,
aliens got
yeah.
here. Just kidding.
He made my mom real mad because he would always call me Amanda, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my daughter Amanda." And as a child, my parents didn't find out my gender, or as a fetus, I guess, not a child. I was already born.
Yes.
But before I was born, they didn't find out what I was. And my dad would always call me Amanda Ray. And my mom would get so
adorable.
mad. And she would be like, "What? You're going to give our son a complex." My dad was like, "No, my daughter."
So she was convinced that you were going to be a boy?
Oh, yeah. She wanted to have like twin redheaded boys named Jeremy
What?
and like
Well,
Jacob or
she
something.
was wrong
Definitely
on so many levels.
Very incorrect.
Here I am.
Here you are, Amanda Ray.
Amanda
Oh,
Ray.
girl.
So
far as I know.
anyway, so I have a couple things to talk about, and let me go into them. So during your child's window of development from birth to age 1, music can serve a variety of important purposes. Also, let me just backtrack really quick. They don't have any studies about before a baby is born. That's just like what people...
You can't really test
You can't
that
really
very
test that.
scientifically.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, there's so many discrepancies in all of that. So they can test more about after a child is born than they can as a fetus. So people across cultures and from the earliest known history have used lullabies to soothe infants. In modern times, researchers have studied the effect of music on infant development, including the Mozart effect. This popular but controversial theory is based on the belief that listening to classical music will enhance intelligence. Whether or not music actually makes your infant smarter in the long run, it may enhance your child's early processing skills, according to Hayne W. Reese's Advances in Child Development and Behavior. So, what I found is that there are so many different things that take into effect, and one of the biggest things that they have noticed that music helps with is understanding speech. So infants can understand musical patterns prior to understanding words, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
In essence, music allows your infant to practice listening ahead and anticipate what will come next based on her prior experience. This skill is vital for making sense of the complex stream of sounds in speech.
Did you ever see those videos of like babies or toddlers that have like perfect rhythm? And it's weird because, because almost like they're still used to the heartbeat. Like they still relate so much to a heartbeat that they have like perfect rhythm, and they have videos of this.
I feel like that's
playing
how
drums.
Like, yeah,
How do
just
they
beating
know?
on drums
Oh, okay.
or like, yeah, clapping their hands or something.
Nice.
I feel like that's how my nephew is.
And yeah,
Like
it's crazy to watch.
He can he learns songs almost immediately, and he can he dances perfectly to songs.
Dancing too, yeah.
And he plays he'll hit a drum, and he is, and Mark is just fascinated by him being a musician. He's like, oh my god, he can definitely keep rhythm.
He's
the
gonna
whole
be my
time.
drummer someday.
Yeah, it must be in their genes. It definitely was not in mine. So.
You're very good at listening to music.
I have practiced a lot. I was
know.
practicing in the womb.
Apparently.
So. Most children learn to understand your speech sounds as symbols that make up a language code by age 1, with repeated listening leading to this understanding. That's why I think that children that are, this is my own personal opinion, but children that spend most of their time with parents or someone that is with them and actually talks to them, this is why I hate baby talk, is because children start
talk to them,
speaking so much
yeah.
earlier and so much clearer when you're actually talking to them.
Yes.
Oh, look, that's a tree. Instead of being oh, baby, yeah,
leaves on the tree.
yeah. If you're teaching your child, you should teach them what it is so that they can learn.
See,
quicker.
I always thought that was a downfall for my personality with kids. Before last year.
because you talk to them like they're humans.
No, yes, because I talk to them like they're adults, and
I think
I'm
that's fantastic.
Hey, what's up? what do you want to do?
You don't talk to dogs like they're adults.
No, I talk to dogs like they
everyone
are
has a dog
alien
voice.
babies.
Yeah.
A very cute alien babies.
My voice
I get all
definitely
crazy.
goes higher when I'm talking to babies,
I
which
turn into a
I
different
thought was
person.
impossible because listen to me now. But I definitely get a little bit higher pitched when I'm talking to a baby because I want them to like be happy.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yes.
like I just said, babies hear pitch before
Yes.
they understand what you're saying. So talking to a baby and you're like, hello, here is a tree. And being like, oh,
they're,
look, there's
like-
a tree. You know,
There's
like,
also excitement
yeah,
in your voice
I think
you can hear.
I think saying things to where they actually are excited to listen to you, but also talking to them regular, like
Yes.
not making up weird words.
I only think, a baby versus a toddler who is actually starting to learn speech and learn what things are around them and their environment and stuff is different.
Yes.
Because like a baby, you're just like goo goo gaga and they're like, blah. And that's the extent of your conversation. Actually, I have conversations like that still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so emotion regulation and communication skills. When you sing to your infant face to face, he can associate oral movements with sound perception and can gain other details via your facial expressions. This helps them learn critical communication skills. These include learning to appreciate sounds with emotions, events, and objects. The singing interaction also teaches him to regulate his own emotions according to General Music Today. Live singing is significantly more effective than recorded music for keeping your infant's attention and promotes attending and imitation.
Is it because they can like
See it happening. Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would guess.
Oh, so what I found out later in my reading, I read like so many articles today, but there are you're nodding
Me too.
too.
Yeah. So many.
I'm like, what did I learn? I learned so many things. So doctors have found that babies express preference for the same kind of music they heard while in the womb. So that is one study that they've been able to they can't say like your baby's smarter for listening
Yeah.
to music, but they can recognize it. So I think that we can assume that they probably are smarter from it. Many studies have shown that exposing infants and babies in the womb to music helps build neural bridges used to process thought and information. Music can stimulate the brain's alpha waves, which creates a sense of calmness in the listener. Other studies indicate that early music exposure and instruction have benefits on the development of perceptual skills, which affects language and literary abilities, spatial reasoning, which is related to skills used to do math, and fine motor coordination. Unlike language, music activates every subsystem of the brain, including the structures involved in motivation and emotion. This makes it especially effective in creating bonds between individuals and in a group, and can contribute to well-being throughout one's lifespan.
Did you guys ever play instruments as children?
Yes.
The recorder.
Everyone did. They all played hot cross buns.
Yeah, hot cross buns. I can still play
B,
it.
C, D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's why music
Is
classes...
that what you played?
I played the flute in 4th and 5th grade.
Okay.
So I upgraded to the flute from
Okay.
the recorder. I also played the thing. Not
Oh.
The thing.
The one
Sorry.
thing.
not the
The tuba.
it wasn't
The oboe.
The
no.
trumpet.
No, I forget what it's called, but
violin.
it's like a xylophone, but it's not the xylophone. It's like it starts with a K.
Keyboard.
Xylophone.
No, definitely
The
not.
xylophone.
That. No, I don't know. The
Or no help.
Whatever it is, I have no
Whatever.
idea
Caramba.
what it is.
Karumba, yeah, or something like that.
I made that up.
Maybe it's really no, it's not that. Karumba.
Caramba is.
Anyway, I played something in orchestra. So,
Okay.
but then we didn't have any money, and my mom made me give it up. So,
Well,
that's why I, unlike all of you guys, have no musical talent.
I started. I played the piano when I was 4. I could play by ear, and then the only piano teacher in town at the time Miss Nancy. She took me on because my mom wanted to put me in lessons, and she normally didn't start kids until they were 7. So
But you were a child prodigy.
Was special. Yeah, that didn't last long. It didn't last long. I mean, I took lessons till I was 11, but...
Yeah.
I would love to learn the piano. My husband is classically trained in the piano, played the piano for like 15 years.
He never plays.
And he won't even teach me. He said that he doesn't have the patience.
When people, I understand that because I don't either. Like, I'd be a terrible music teacher.
Well, yeah, not everyone who can teach.
Yes.
That's
very
pretty
true.
serious.
That's all over the map.
You could be so good at something, but
Yeah.
you can't teach someone else to be so good.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a ukulele at home that I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. You pretended to play
played
it
it.
while, right?
No,
you
I
played
played
it.
it.
There was one video you posted where you were pretending to play
Pretended.
something.
No,
and Mark was playing it in the background.
No, I was playing it. Mark was whistling.
But you did one where you were playing the guitar, right?
No, I don't know how to play the guitar.
That's what I was saying. You were faking playing the guitar, and I swear, or singing,
I
or
don't think
something weird was happening, and it
Maybe
was something
this
you
was like
weren't
something
actually
to
playing.
you, but not like posted on the internet or something. I don't know.
Maybe it was just a Snapchat when you
Maybe
still
I
had
dreamt of
Snapchat.
it.
Maybe. Maybe you dreamt that I was actually really good at something.
That
Because
music.
that would be a dream.
You're really good at what you do.
True.
That's true. I'm
She
good
does
at
my hair, y'all. She does TT's hair as well.
When
Real
TT is
good.
not busy doing her own hair.
I won't touch my own hair anymore. I get really scared. Okay.
Anyway, okay, so back to the music.
Yeah.
One last thing, and then I'll swap it over to you. But I thought that this was really interesting. And it said, while children exposed to classical music and other smooth serenading genres with positive lyrics perform better behaviorally and academically, we have also observed that children exposed to high-tempo music with aggressive content are more likely to display acting out tendencies and are more aggressive toward their peers, Dr. Bell said.
That's interesting.
That's a great segue if you're going to end on that.
Oh, really? Yeah, that is what
Unless
I'm
you
going to
have
end
more
on.
to say.
No, that was exactly what I was going to end on because I thought it was really interesting in how, like, we all talk about how we should play music for children, but we should make sure that the music that we're
specifically good for
is
the right
yeah.
music.
Because I mean, I like listening to rock band music too, but maybe a baby shouldn't be listening to heavy metal.
Yeah.
Also, sidebar, we didn't plan this. We didn't
No.
research. Like, we just talked to each other and we're like, hey, let's research this.
You
And
take the kid half, and I'll take the adult half.
So
That was it.
it's because we're both named Amanda.
That's, yeah.
We work well together.
We don't talk about the fact that my name is Amanda, but yes.
but it still
no one
is.
actually calls you Amanda, though, right? Is there anyone in your life who still calls you that?
My Aunt Sandy. Yeah, that's about it.
I tried to go by Mandy.
Doctor's offices.
Yeah.
Anytime that there's a legal thing, a document.
Amanda.
Yes. Amanda.
You feel like you're in trouble when someone calls you Amanda?
Sometimes. It's definitely like more like stern, and it's like something serious is happening. And then listen, like, Mandy, what are you doing? Anyway. Okay. So first point I'm going to make is brain imaging has revealed how neural responses to different types of music really affect the brain. And one study actually proves that especially men who process negative feelings with music, as in they use music to kind of envelop themselves in the emotion that they're feeling at the time.
Like if someone's depressed or something,
Yeah, they
would
listen to sad music. Yes,
Okay.
or angry, they listen to like heavy metal or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess not all heavy metal music is angry music,
but
whatever.
most of it is fun.
It's hard
But-
to like be like, I love you. You're so pretty. Sorry.
We should write something like that.
We should.
But the men who possess negative feelings with music or react negatively to aggressive and sad music. So it made me think about like sports warm-ups and like football music at the stadiums and
Yeah.
like baseball and stuff. Like they have this like big pump up, like loud music and like rock music. And I started, cause I was the manager in my high school for the wrestling team all 4 years. And I just remember like they had certain, at tournaments and stuff, they'd warm up music over the speakers, and it was always like this like heavy rock or metal music, and it's just
We
like
would
to get
have,
these
like,
dudes like pumped up and get their testosterone
Eye
going.
of the Tiger.
Yes,
was
all the
always
time
on the playlist.
And what was the other one? That was the one.
we also had
And
a lot
the
of
Disturbed
Eminem.
song.
Yeah.
The wah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We there's a baseball player. I think he's on the Yankees. Mark's gonna like hate me if he's not, but I'm pretty sure because we were watching a Yankee game when I heard this happen. So, but he has SpongeBob SquarePants play before he so when people play baseball, they like have a walkout song, and his is SpongeBob SquarePants for his children, which I'm sure like makes him like
cute.
Like he thinks about like, oh yeah, my kids, like, and it makes him happy, and then he hits a home run or something. So I think that also talks about how like you can definitely feel what your music is. I listened to sad music before.
I love sad music.
I adore sad music. So when I play downtown and people are like, play something we can dance to. And I'm like, fuck.
Like, shut up. Go home.
I don't want to play this.
This isn't where you dance. You came here to cry.
Unless you give me money. The weirdest part the show that I played the other day, somebody asked for Taylor Swift. And I'm like, no. She's like, I give you $20. And I was like, yes. Yes. I will do this one Taylor Swift song that I play. And the entire bar was singing along to this.
One?
White Horse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Say you're sorry, that face.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good one.
I just so happened to have a bachelorette party in the bar at the time, and they all like geeked out.
Oh,
so anyway,
gosh.
It went over very well. Surprisingly, I made like 3 more tips off of that.
I'm
song.
so tired of bachelor and bachelorette's
You don't even know.
Parties in Nashville.
It's not going to
taverns.
stop
And
soon.
the party buses. And
It just became a thing in the past few years. It's just going to get worse.
They made a TV show now.
I know, on
They're
CMT,
like
which is going to make it
parties
even
in
worse.
Nashville.
People are going to be like, oh, that's such a great idea. Why didn't I think about that? We should go there.
That's my cue. I'm going to move.
I'm going to head out
somewhere
of here.
else.
Yeah, let's move to Vegas.
Let's. I don't know about. Maybe not Vegas.
Let's go to Vegas.
I'll go somewhere. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Chop, chop.
All right, so Emily Carlson is a music therapist. She explains that some ways of coping with negative emotions, such as rumination, which means continually thinking over negative things, overly negative things, are linked to poor mental health. So we wanted to learn whether there could be similar effects of some styles of music listening. The participants of that study were assessed on several markers of mental health, including depression, anxiety, and neuroticism. Analysis showed that anxiety and neuroticism were higher in participants who tended to listen to sad or aggressive music to express negative feelings, particularly in males. This style of listening results in the feeling of expression of negative feelings, not necessarily improving the mood. So sometimes you just listen to sad music because you're sad and you don't, you just want to like dive into that. I've done
And
it.
just be sad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
it's hard to
make me cry.
listen from personal experience. It's hard for me to listen to happy songs when I'm sad. I'd rather just not listen to anything.
Right.
Although
Yeah.
sometimes when you're sad and you listen to happy songs, it gets you in a better mood.
That doesn't work for me.
Like
No.
if I'm sad, if I turn on, the happy song? 'Cause I'm happy.
Oh, no, don't start it.
It's
You know,
Pharrell?
that actually makes me feel better for some reason. There's something in that song that sparks, okay, life isn't so bad. Things are going to turn up.
It's because you think about Minions.
I don't think it is because I'm not a big...
Is that Bruno
What
Mars?
is it in...
No, it's Pharrell.
Oops.
What's the Minions? What are they in? The in something?
Despicable Me?
Despicable Me.
Shit.
Also in the
Get your
Minions.
Pixar
That's what I'm saying.
right.
I don't
It's not
watch
Pixar, it's DreamWorks.
cartoon
Get
shit.
your shit right. Fuck.
I watch adult
sorry.
things.
Oh yeah, she said this before in another episode.
Did I?
Yeah, you said you don't like when we talked
little
about The
kid movies?
Incredibles. You said you don't watch cartoons.
I don't watch cartoons very often.
All right. I'm just going to
But
continue.
keep going. Sorry that I just brought the mood up and then back down again.
It's fine.
You should start
It's
singing
fine.
it again.
I'm fine.
Oh, that dog in the burning room gif.
I'm fine.
It's fine.
This is fine.
I'm fine.
That's my life. So
we'll
I'm going to
post
talk
that.
about music therapy.
Will you say that again? Because I was talking.
I'm going to talk about music. I'm going to try it one more time. Shut up! Taylor, shh!
Can we also have a discussion one time about if it's GIF or GIF?
It's GIF.
I
say
agree,
GIF.
but a lot of people think it's
GIF
GIF,
is a
and
peanut
Some
butter.
people say GIF,
but it's spelled JIF,
but
and
those
it's peanut
people
butter,
suck.
and they're wrong.
They're
Okay,
so wrong. Okay.
now we can continue. Sorry, I just wanted to put that out on the universe and tell people that they're wrong.
All right, I'm going to talk about music therapy. The connection between music and emotion has long been acknowledged, along with the ability of music to influence both mental and physical health. Pythagoras, who we thank for the theorem.
Thank you. I got real excited.
I know, I saw it in your face. Plato and Aristotle all wrote about how music affects health and behavior, and some Aboriginal tribes all over the world have used music as part of their healing arts, which I still think is very cool. Like watching those, there's videos of Aboriginal tribes still, or like their old, rituals and stuff. And I think that they're really beautiful. Music therapy as it exists today began back in the 1960s as scientists and doctors began proving the healing power of music with clinical trials. In the 1970s, quote, New Age music emerged as a genre of music without recognizable harmony, rhythm, or melody, and it is used for yoga, meditation, and relaxation, which I use to go to sleep, by the way. I don't know if anybody uses those apps on their phone, the meditation apps and stuff.
I used to.
I can't listen to normal music to fall asleep because I pay attention to it too much.
Yeah, you listen to lyrics.
Yeah,
or you hear
the beat.
Yeah, I actually had one. I don't remember what the app was called, but it was this woman who had the most calming voice that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, calming.
She was like, "Now lay back and put your hands
probably the
palms facing down.
I think I have the same one.
Breathe in and all this beautiful music is playing in the background with birds chirping and shit.
That's what I use,
and it definitely helped me.
I don't do good with those
rough
things.
Nights.
Oh,
I don't. I think this is stupid, and I turn it off and I go to bed.
Must be nice.
I used to have insomnia pretty bad, so I pretty much I needed that and a hefty dose of melatonin to get to sleep.
I sleep better. I can't fall asleep with noise. I have to fall asleep in silence.
Yeah, I need some noise.
I
a
used
TV. Ooh, a TV on that'll really get me to sleep.
I wish that I could have the TV on, but not the light of the TV.
You could turn the brightness down.
It's just far too much work, I think.
All right.
So anyway, Alzheimer's disease. It is a global health issue given the increasing prevalence rate and the limitations of drug effects. So because of this, non-pharmacological interventions are of importance. Music therapy is a non-pharmacological way with a long history of use for dementia patients. Many articles have demonstrated that MT can reduce cognitive decline, especially in autobiographical and episodic memories, psychomotor speed, and global cognition. So I watched this documentary on Netflix a while ago, and I should have looked up the freaking name of it.
Way to go.
I should have looked it up because it's a really...
Well, what did it say?
It was specifically about this man who took it as a personal goal to put iPods in every old folks home or people who have dementia or Alzheimer's because he was seeing so much improvement. He would literally get iPod shuffles that were either donated or they went out and bought them. They had a big fundraiser and everything, or GoFundMe, whatever they were doing, and they bought a whole bunch of iPod shuffles and whatever they could, and they loaded them with music that was popular from when these folks were in their prime, and they brought them these music and they'd put the earbuds in and you just see, I cried 7 times during this documentary.
Wow.
And it was really unbelievable. Even this one woman who has bipolar depression and manic episodes and dementia, she listened to it and she knew every word of the song and she was dancing around the room. I was like, this is the best thing ever. They should do this everywhere. Funding is shit, but it's a great idea.
So it reminds...
Is it called Alive Inside?
Yes! Thank you.
I'm really good at Google.
You just Googled it for me.
So it makes
Alive
me think
Inside.
of... I know that this isn't actually a real thing, but it makes me think of The Notebook.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so... in the part where he told the whole story to her, then she was playing the piano when he was in with the doctor, and she just kept playing the piano, and he was like, oh, you turned the page, and he was like, no, I forgot to. She's playing that from memory.
Yeah.
And she doesn't remember anything about her family or anything about her life.
She knows how to play.
But she remembered the songs that she would play on the piano, and that I think is very powerful, even though it's a fake movie.
But
let me tell you.
Is it based on a true story?
No, it's based on a book. Well,
Nicholas Sparks, that's right. He's so good.
So I have a family friend who recently passed away last winter. He ended up having Alzheimer's. So again, he, forgot people's names. He forgot who they were. It was really sad to watch because I was very close with him my entire life. But he played the piano, and he could still play the piano.
That's so
like
crazy.
up until as long as he could still play the piano.
That's awesome.
From memory. It was insane. So that's a real thing.
Wow.
Yes, that like Nicholas Sparks was, that was a story, but that does really happen. So another one I wanted to talk about was PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's prevalent among combat veterans. A small study was funded by the VA to gain further knowledge of music therapy for veterans. The study was done from 2010 to 2011 and enrolled 40 veterans with significant PTSD symptoms, half of whom were returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. The 6-week intervention consisted of veterans receiving an hour of individual guitar training each week and a weekly group instruction session. Veterans also received a guitar along with sheet music and other supplies that they were allowed to keep after the study was done. The results from that study showed a positive benefit in relieving PTSD symptoms as a result of the intervention. In addition, findings suggest that the music therapy was effective in reducing depression symptoms and improving health-related quality of life. And then I wanted to talk about non-human reactions to music.
Like whales?
No, dogs and cats. I like how exotic you went right off the bat.
I think of music when I think of like the way whales even speak. So then I'm just
I know that
I
this
would
is
be curious.
totally off topic, but have you guys been following that killer whale, the orca
that dragged
mom
her baby around for like 15
that
weeks?
her baby died and
What?
she carried it for 17 days.
Or 17 days, sorry.
And
She finally let it go.
She finally let it go, but she like carried it through. Like she would like just push
She
it.
said it was like 100
everywhere.
miles of ocean or
Yeah,
something.
and would push it because she wasn't ready to let her baby go. It was the
that's
saddest
so
thing
sad.
ever. So sorry.
All right, well, I'm going to just take it back to what I was saying
About dogs and
about
cats.
dogs and cats and stuff that had nothing to do
That's
with whales. While we can't prove music therapy's total effect on dogs and cats because of the obvious communication barrier, we can make observations and study. In one study with kenneled dogs, scientists found that several pieces of classical music made dogs calmer, and they slept more and barked less. Ironically, one piece of music had no effect whatsoever, despite the fact that it had been specifically composed to calm dogs. So we really don't know as much as we think we do when it comes to music along with pets. Another study observed a decrease in respiratory rates and pupil diameters, which are signs of reduced stress, in cats under general anesthesia during surgery. So the link between playing music in farms and higher milk production has not only been tested, but been put into practice at many farms. So anyway, it goes beyond the human brain.
Well, I think just
Even
brains
plants
in general.
Did you see that one?
Plants.
About the plant? Yes, there was plants that one of them was played classical music and the other one was played like heavy death metal, and the one that was with classical music thrived.
Really?
Yeah, I
It's
saw that. That was a
bizarre.
long time ago. Yeah.
I would hate to be the band that killed the plants. You know?
That's kind of what they set out to do. Not kill plants, but definitely to upset living things.
I mean, if they would have just written a song that said "You're so pretty," like maybe it would have, maybe it would have grown and thrived. That's super interesting.
very
I mean, it's just
interesting.
crazy how music has such a like. There are songs that you can listen to and it brings you back to a specific time and place, or just like like smells.
Sense, yeah.
That was a part of a million articles that I read today was that it affected memory so that it could take you back so specifically, like that you could almost feel like you're standing there, or like that you could smell what you smelled then, and like they're all connected. It's crazy. The human brain is insane in the membrane. Got no brain.
Sidebar really quickly before we go into the true crime. I just want to shout out to Nadia. Thank you again for this wine. It's one
Beautiful.
of my favorites.
Thank you, Nadia.
And I'm having to like put my glass farther away from me so I don't just like drink it too quickly. Like I want to savor it, but it's so smooth
I have
and
neglected
so good.
cupcake wine.
It's delicious.
I love a good cupcake.
It's like a great deal.
Yes.
And you don't feel like you're drinking really cheap wine. You're
Yeah,
drinking
so
like delicious.
I mean, it's
New
$10.
wine. I want,
Like it's
I
not.
want to say this would be a great wine for, because people have said that we should elaborate on the wines. This would be a great one for new wine connoisseurs.
Yeah, because it's smooth. It's easy to drink.
Very easy.
I think it's a good transition
Yeah.
from. It's not cheap.
No, I know. I stopped saying
But
it in the middle of the word.
It's cheaper.
It's affordable.
It's
than,
cheaper. It's
you
not
know,
like it's not like a $20 wine,
but
it's
it tastes-
$10. But it's better than like the crappy like $3 wine,
and
that
it
you can buy,
tastes like a
too.
$20 wine.
It really
Shout out to
does.
the
Yeah.
Trader Joe's.
Nadia, you're the bomb.com.
Bomb.com. And you have great hair.
We don't know this, but like I will take Amanda's
I
word for it.
assume it's pretty great.
She's one of my clients. So thank you. But yeah, this is. I don't know what I would pair it with. I
I'd pair it
would
with just drinking
life.
this. Yeah.
Strawberries. No, you know what? Guys, I would pair it with red velvet cupcakes. See what I did there? You
Yeah,
see?
all right.
See, I don't eat sweets, so I would just pair
Listen.
it with life. I think that this is
I'd
a
pair
good
this with nachos.
Ooh.
Ultimate nachos, preferably.
pork.
Sure. I was being facetious.
This is the kind of wine you could pretty much eat anything with.
This is the kind of wine that you sit on the couch and you watch Netflix and enjoy life.
true crime documentaries. What?
Yep.
The Staircase.
All right.
Finished it.
So,
He totally did it.
I didn't have
Oh,
to
the
start
Staircase?
it. I
Can we
didn't have
talk
to
about
start
that
it.
for a
I already
second?
know that I didn't even watch it because I already know that he did it, and there's no like. I don't want. I hate and like.
They're
I
the
don't
same
wanna-
people that make a murderer.
Yeah, exactly. And I never finished Making a Murderer because he totally did
He
it.
did
And
it.
it's so biased
Yeah.
that I can't. Like, if I'm going to watch a true crime documentary, I want it to
Both
be
sides.
from both sides.
Yeah.
And these ones are so biased that it's hard for me to watch.
The Staircase, I'll say, I watched with Mandy, and it had her fooled. Although Making a Murder
It did.
had me fooled. I mean, not that but Making a Murder, I was like, oh my gosh. It's more so like our justice system is kind of screwed up.
Yeah, there were definitely mistakes made on both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah.
I
But
can
they
get
left
that.
out so much information.
Yeah, so
Yes.
much. And at the end, we like Googled all the things
Yeah.
about the Staircase, and the guy was dating the editor of this documentary.
Oh, it's like Bernie. How he lived in the.
Except for Bernie was likable, and this guy was fucking trash.
Yes,
Yeah.
but like it's crazy how many people are connected with the person that makes the movie.
But his lawyer was likable. And I think that that's
Yeah.
what brought a lot of people to his side, is that the lawyer was actually a likable guy.
Which
and
I think was that was similar to Making a Murderer.
Yeah,
the lawyer
yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, and the prosecuting attorneys
Was not like
were not likable and had terrible makeup.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Which
like...
I feel like should
And they were
never
awkward
be that way,
people.
because I think that defense attorneys are basically the worst people in the world, and
well, okay.
I mean, they're just
all,
doing their
all of our
job.
listeners, that's not true.
that's how I feel. So
I know a bunch of defense attorneys who are very nice
I don't know
people.
any.
I know defense attorneys, and they hate their lives.
Well, think about it. What's his face from the OC? I hate to bring up the OC again on this podcast, but he was a defense attorney, and he was a great person.
he was a fictional character.
But he was a great person. All right, let's get to the true crime
Solid
portion.
evidence. Indisputable.
Good
So-
job being a good actor.
I do
You
like
read
him.
your
What's his
lines
name?
like
He
a
was
champ.
from.
Isn't his son in Seventh Heaven? What's his last
See,
name?
I don't know because I don't know
I have
the
no
show.
idea.
Oh, he's Simon's dad, like in real life.
Wasn't he
Jeff.
convicted of some like child
GEOFF?
pornography?
Who?
The dad of Seventh Heaven.
Something weird happened with him,
something,
but I
yeah.
don't think it was child.
He was never convicted. Like people like stood behind him.
Something weird happened, and then he also said something bad to Jessica Biel about posing half naked for some magazine.
Girl,
cover.
you do you.
There's all kinds of drama.
Let the
going
puppies
on there.
fly.
Okay, so true crime. I thought it would be fun to do one that's kind of like my hometown.
Yes.
The Craigslist Killer. Not the first one, but the second one.
Peter Gallagher.
Not Pete. Oh, Peter Gallagher is the actor.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Google. It's a
Thank you.
real thing.
Yeah.
I do love Peter Gallagher. He's got the great eyebrows.
Yes.
Okay, so the second Craigslist killer happened up in Akron, Ohio, which I'm from a suburb of Akron. And
Oh, so this is like real close to you.
super close. And crazy story is when I was in college, I went for fine arts and art education. So I ended up doing student teaching at this high school that was adjacent to our town, and it was called Stowe High School. And this is where one of the, people involved in this went to high school. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
So this all happened like super close to me while I was
that.
there. It's insane. All right.
I'm ready.
So
Also, he's not the dad of Simon. Sorry. I was miscorrect. I was miscorrect.
You
I was
were
incorrect. I was misguided and incorrect.
Mistaken.
misguided.
And incorrect. Sorry.
very
Continue.
incorrect.
I just didn't want to give false information to
Yeah,
our
you don't
viewers.
want those angry emails that are
Listeners.
like, listen, you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you should read
a book.
Books. Read a book.
read a book.
Read things.
Read books.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
excited about this.
So, I'll start out by telling you about Richard Beasley. He is a middle-aged man. He's kind of like big. He's got a huge beard. He's got like long hair, and he loves motorcycles. Can you picture him?
I'm picturing Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, kind of, except big. He's like kind
Big
of
like as in tall or round?
round and tall. He's
Okay.
got it all. And
Wow. Round and tall. He's got it all, ladies.
Go get him.
that's a t-shirt idea. But so people would call him Santa Claus sometimes. That's how much he had like gray hair and he was big. Okay. But he grew up in Akron, Ohio. He settled in Akron with his wife Tina, and they had a child. Her name's Tanya. Growing up, he seemed like the perfect dad. Tanya has a lot of interviews out that pretty much say he would take her to the park, and he was loving, and he was always smiling, and he was just happy and just an overall like kind individual. And Tina and Richard had met in a motorcycle scene, so his wife was also very into biking. He asked her for coffee, and after they met, Tina thought that he was nice, soft-spoken, like the gentleman type, and so she married him, obviously.
That's a good reason.
Well,
He was universally loved by all. Like, everybody thought he was just a nice human. He was the model husband. He was the model father. He paid the bills. He kept his wife happy, let her go shopping, like brought in enough money to keep his family. I'm sorry.
Nervous.
He brought in enough money so she didn't really have to do much, and she could go shopping and she could do what she wanted. And
Doesn't sound bad.
he bought all the things that his daughter wanted, which sometimes can be good and sometimes can be bad. But
Can I just say
yes.
that makes me so nervous? Like all of these, the ones that are, they're like, oh my
They're
God,
so
they're really
nice.
nice ones. And they're just such a perfect guy
Picture
and whatever.
perfect.
Like Nathan.
Now, we
if
don't
you turn
know for
out to
sure.
be a murdering bastard.
Yeah, can we just sidebar that? Stop telling us that our
How nice
husbands
they
are
are.
perfect because now we're gonna start thinking that they're all murderers.
That's what people are going to say in my documentary.
Well, that's the
He
whole
was
thing
so
is
nice.
you never know. You just never know.
He was
sometimes.
a fireman. He was in the military.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I love you, Nathan, so much. Miss you.
Okay, but in 1997, it came out that he had been illegally selling firearms to people. And so he got charged with unlawful transport of firearms. And he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. So his daughter went 7 years without having her father with her. Although the mother, Tina, would take her to go see him all the time. So they still kind of had that father-daughter relationship. Ultimately, their love story ended while he was in prison. They got a divorce. She just couldn't handle them being apart and all the issues that come with that. After 6 years, in 2004, Richard was released on good behavior. So he came home, he started having a relationship with his daughter again and was able to, have that bond. And he moved in with his mother. During his incarceration, he had found a connection with God. And he got a new job with a trucking company when he got out. And he found a passion in Christ. So he started helping his old biker friend, Michael Rafferty, with his son, because Michael Rafferty was a machinist. And so he didn't have much time to spend with his son. And so he would come over and pick up his son, Brogan, and take him to church with him because he went every single Sunday. And he was like, be friends with my daughter, Tanya. She's a great influence. Like, you guys would get along really well. And so he did. And so Brogan is a little younger than Tanya, but
How old is Tanya at this point? Do you know? Like young adult?
At this point, she's teenager.
grown up?
She's probably
Okay.
like 12
Okay.
or 13. And at this point, Brogan is like 8, maybe.
Okay.
8 or 9.
Brogan.
Brogan. It's
cool
a good
name.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, what's funny is in New Zealand, they call rednecks, bogans.
Bogans.
Or not rednecks, but like people who...
Can I ask, has Sam ever called me that?
He's never called you a bogan.
Damn it.
Bogans are more like, I don't know. I can't describe what they are.
Okay.
But they pretend to be like they drive those Honda Civics with the pumped up like rims and all the cool things, but they go home to a trailer and they hang out.
Which is kind of funny
and
because
eat ramen noodles.
in New Zealand they also call everybody bro.
Yeah, they do.
So
bruh.
It's
like bro and bogan.
Bogan.
Put
Brogan.
together.
But together.
Yep.
I have nothing else to say.
Also,
Stop
can I
staring.
just say that there are so many movie titles that you're saying in this, like Passion of the Christ, The Machinist.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
Just so far, those two for me. But
That's how
I
they.
think those are the two that stood out. But
There'll be
there
more.
might have been more.
There'll be more.
Yeah.
That's how they came up with those ideas for the movies. Is this story?
Is this story? Oh.
this is it. Brogan.
that happened in 2011?
The
I'm just kidding. But this did
next
happen
one's
in
going to be
2011.
Brogan.
Yeah.
Brogan.
Not Logan.
So
Because that's also a movie.
a little more about
Brogan.
Brogan. God, why do I want to say Bogan now? Ooh, okay. A little more about Brogan is his mother was an addict. So his dad's a single father, and he just kind of can't keep up with him.
Well, and he's a felon.
No,
so-
not his dad.
Oh.
Brogan. Brogan is Michael's
Shit.
son.
Brogan is
I'm
the
following.
friend.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so Michael is
Tanya.
Tanya's the daughter.
Is the daughter, and her dad is the one that was in prison. I'm
right.
following.
His name is Richard.
Yes.
Richard is the main character in
Dick.
all of this.
Sorry.
Richard's the main character. His daughter's name is Tanya.
I'm in.
He has a friend who has a son named Brogan. And Siri has no idea. Okay, so Brogan pretty much took care of himself. He woke himself up in the morning, he got ready for school in the morning, and he made his breakfast and pretty much did everything by himself because his dad was always at work. And he kind of became a part of the Beasley family when Richard started taking him to church with him and being kind of the father figure he didn't have. Now, Rich, he was so into the church that he started kind of being a street
Performer.
not a street performer,
Preacher.
a street preacher.
On the like soapbox things that yell at me that I'm going to hell.
Maybe. No, I
That
don't think
happens
like that.
downtown
He's
Nashville.
more of like he's like a caring. He would go down and volunteer his time at homeless shelters, and
That's
he's just trying to help
So
out
he's not
people.
like technically a preacher, but he like is a stand-in.
Right.
Acting like
I'm-
it.
Right, an
I'm a Christian,
advocate.
I wanna help you.
and he's trying to bring
Advocate.
everyone to God's side.
Okay.
Um,
To the light side.
Yeah, so he would preach the word of God at these homeless shelters. And one day he got into a big accident in his truck, and he ended up, I think it was his Achilles tendon, he got it like clipped or something. So he couldn't like walk for a while. And he ended up having to not drive anymore because he couldn't drive. And they gave him some sort of settlement for the crash. And what he did with that is he bought a 2-story house in Akron. And he opened up his doors kind of as a shelter / halfway house. He let people who were in need come stay there.
Did you ever look up his address?
No, I didn't.
See how close it would be to your house?
No, that's creepy.
Why?
I don't want to do that.
That's creepy? Of all the shit that we talk about, that's creepy?
I don't
That'd be
want
like one of the first things I did.
I want to know that he's that close.
I want to know that he's down the street
He's
from me.
in at least a 15-minute vicinity to where I grew up. So I don't want to know.
I'd want to know.
Weird.
It's weird that you don't, to me. But continue. Sorry.
But he pretty much provided a safe haven for people who were in need.
Okay.
And needed shelter, needed food,
He might not be the villain here.
He sounds
Mandy.
like a pretty nice guy, doesn't he?
Yeah,
They
we don't
always
know.
do.
We don't know what he did. We don't
We
know
know.
things.
I don't know, actually.
So Michael, his friend, would always have issues with Brogan, and as he was growing up into a young man, he became a little bit more aggressive, and he would get into fights at school, and Brogan, we're talking about, he was kind of rebelling, and so Michael had issues with him, and he just didn't know how to handle him, and so Brogan would call Richard when he had issues, and Richard would calm him down and talk to him, and he'd bring him back to his house. So his house that he had bought with the settlement kind of became Brogan's second home.
He should have played more classical music for him.
Yes, definitely should have. Although in a couple of the documentaries I watched and the podcast I was listening to, it did say that Brogan was a really smart kid. Like, he grew up and he like took care of himself and he read a lot and he was always learning, and he was just, I don't know where it kind of turned.
Okay.
But he definitely got his rebellious streak in high school, which is the high school that I student taught at. It's crazy.
That's insane to me.
So Richard's daughter didn't feel comfortable living in this house with Richard and all these like scary characters that kind of would be in and out.
Yeah, it's like a halfway house.
It's like a halfway house. So there would be, you know, women who were prostitutes who needed shelter that would come in, and sometimes their pimp would come in after them and like try and cause a scene and bring in a gun, and he would have to like shove them out and pretty much tell them like, get out of here, this is, you know,
that's terrifying.
Whatever. And as a, you know, she's a teenager at that point in time, that would be really scary, I think. But Brogan loved it, and Tanya randomly one day got a voicemail from her dad saying, okay, I love you. I'm just going to be out of town for a little while. I hope that, you know, everything goes well. I'll check in whenever I can. And it was just out of the blue. She had spent so much time with him over the past couple of years that it just kind of knocked her sideways and she didn't know what to do. And she never heard from him after that for a very, very, very long time. Now this cuts to 4 months later. After his strange disappearance, police get a 911 call in Caldwell, Ohio, which is a couple hours south from Akron.
Because you guys are pretty close to the Great Lake, right? To
Yeah,
Michigan?
we're right by Erie.
Oh, Erie.
It's up by Erie.
Yeah.
Okay, so November 6, 2011, there was a shooting. A 50-year-old man, his name was Scott Davis, who had responded to a Craigslist ad for this job. It was $300 a week to help this man out on his farm. He drove literally hundreds of miles from South Carolina for this job, and he was supposed to meet his new boss, who his name was Jack, and he met up with him for breakfast. And they talked about the job, the farm that he was going to be working on, and all the hours, and they would put him up for house. They'd put him up and give him food and, you know, shelter while he was working on the farm, plus the $300. And he was kind of down on his luck, and so he pretty much would have taken any job that he had found. But he drove up, met with Jack. Jack was there with his nephew, and he was like, hey, why don't you leave your car here with like all your stuff in it? I'll drive you out to the property so we could kind of take a look at it, and then you can kind of decide then, and then if you want to go back, you can. If you want to stay and feel comfortable at the farm, then, you know, the job is yours. And so the guy's like, yeah, sounds great.
Sounds legit.
So they get in the car, all three of them. They start driving, and they kind of get into this like treacherous, narrow road. And he's like, oh, it's way out in the boondocks. Like, we kind of have to go through these crazy foresty roads to get there. And then they get to this part where a tree was in the middle of the road, and it was like hard to pass. And he's like, oh, it's a 2-minute walk that way. Why don't we just walk? And he's like, okay, yeah, sounds good. So they get out and they start walking, and his nephew was like, okay, I'll just drive back here. And he gets back in the car and he drives away the opposite direction. And he was like, that's a little weird, but it's okay. We're going to see the farm and then he'll be back. So they start walking, and as they're walking, he's like, is this the right way? Like, what direction is it? And Jack is like, oh man, maybe this isn't the right way. And so he starts to turn, and Scott turns around and he hears a click. And he's like, oh God. And he turns, and Jack had just tried to shoot him, and his gun misfired.
Oh my God.
And so then he, like, you know, survival mode pops in, and you're like, I gotta run. So he starts running, and he's shooting at him as he's running through the forest. And so he's running, and he finally finds like a hiding spot. So he hides under this bush, and he just waits it out for like 7 hours. And then finally he looks down and he sees he's been shot. He has a wound, and he decides that if he wants to live, he's going to have to run and find help. And so he runs, and he finds these people on the side of the road, and he's like, call 911, call 911. And that's when the 911 call came in 2011. So he's out of the bush. He found help. They called 911. The next day, the detectives go out searching for his car that he left in the parking lot of, I believe it was a Denny's that they went and ate.
I love Denny's.
I haven't been to a Denny's in a very long time.
Because we don't have one here.
Well, I thought we did.
We have one. It's like 30 minutes away and a truck stop.
It's kind of like a Culver's. Like, there's more
Culver's.
the farther north you go.
There's a lot of Culvers here now. There's
There's
no
only two.
Denny's here. There's like 5 Culvers
There's
here.
2. There's one in Murfreesboro and one in like
Cool Springs.
Gallatin. Oh, is it
yeah,
Cool
Cool
Springs?
Springs.
That was the other way. Sorry, I knew
Maybe
there's one
I
on
just
65.
see them. But
Okay.
I love Denny's. They have unlimited hot chocolate.
Really?
Yeah.
So the detectives find Scott's car in the parking lot where he said he left it, and they ask Denny's for their video footage, which they have to go up the ladder to get for them, so it might take a couple days. At that point, they check out the Craigslist ad, and they find the phone number that is attached to the Craigslist ad, and then they get involved with the FBI to try and find, you know how they can track your IP address? Mm-hmm. So wherever it was posted from, where that computer, was at that point in time, so they can try and find out who posted the ad. So 5 days after the incident, they receive a missing persons report that has strangely similar sound to the story of Scott Davis. David Pauly had responded to the same Craigslist ad back in October, and the last conversation he had with his sister was saying he had to go meet up with his new employer for breakfast, and then he was never heard from again. So, out in the woods where Scott said that he had almost been killed, police came across a deceased male. He was a middle-aged man, and it turns out that he was David Pauly, the
missing man.
All the while, all this stuff is happening, and Richard Beasley's family is wondering where he is. And so all of these middle-aged men are going missing or being almost murdered, and they were like hopeful that it wasn't him.
Okay.
That he wasn't, not the killer, but someone who, is being
missing.
lured.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, why would you think that the person that is the killer?
Right.
You would immediately think like, oh,
They're a victim.
I mean, unless they're
shit.
Unless they're like, you think that they're a killer to begin with.
Right. So as soon as they find David Pauly, they know that they have a serial killer on their hands. And they finally get access to, it was Shoney's. Sorry, guys, not Denny's. It was Shoney's.
That makes more sense being in the South.
I do love a Shoney's too. That's a guilty
I've never
pleasure.
Been.
Don't go. They're terrible.
I used to
people
go
say.
when I was young, and I would get fish and chips. It's the weirdest thing to get at Shoney's, but as a child, I was very
I would always
into
get the salad
fish
bar.
and chips.
As a kid, you'd get the salad bar.
I like vegetables, unlike
Amanda,
most people.
we need to have a talk.
Sorry.
So they finally got the Shoney's footage that they had been asking for, and the FBI gets the details on the email created for the Craigslist ad, and it led them 100 miles north to Akron, Ohio. The police go to the location and find a man living at the address that they found who recognizes the picture of the man at the Shoney's, who they think is the serial killer. And he says, oh yeah, that's Ralph Geiger. He's my tenant.
Ralph.
And so, Ralph Geiger. So the phone that was used to call Scott Davis was traced back to a high school student named Brogan Rafferty.
Wait. Okay.
Okay, so...
No, I get it. I'm following.
Are you following?
Yeah, I just had to run everything in my brain, and it happened all very fast.
So they went up to Akron.
Yep.
They found out that Brogan's cell phone was the one being used, and they went to the location where they showed the footage of the guy who's been killing people, and this guy who's living at this house says, that's Ralph Geiger. He's my tenant.
Ralph.
so
Ralph
sad.
Geiger. Yeah.
They were such good people.
So they find items belonging to David Pauly in Brogan's room, and he was arrested for murder. They found a quote-unquote killing kit. It was like this plastic...
Okay, Dexter.
it was like a plastic case
zip ties,
that has...
duct tape.
Yeah, all kinds of things like guns and knives and anything you might possibly need to kill someone. They found that in his room, and Scott Davis confirms that Brogan is the kid who dropped him off into the woods to pretty much get murdered. Brogan admitted to being involved in the shootings, and it turns out that Ralph Geiger / Jack is Richard.
How many names does this guy have?
3 so far.
It turns out just being 3, but
3 total.
yeah.
Weird.
Richard
Confirmed.
Beasley.
Why is he going by Ralph?
I'll tell
Why
you in
wouldn't you
just
go
a
by
second.
Ralph?
So he ended up leaving his landlord a note on his door saying, "Hey, I heard that the cops were here. What did they want? Here's my cell phone number. Just like text me what they wanted." And so the landlord, of course, immediately calls the cops and says, "Here's this cell phone number he gave me. He left me a note. This is, I'm going to be as cooperative as possible."
Yeah.
And so they immediately trace his location from the cell phone number, and they find him and tackle him to the ground and get him in custody. It turns out that his halfway house was actually a brothel / drug operation.
Oh my God.
Yep. And so when the cops found out that he had this, operation going on, they were looking into him, and so he fled. And he took on the name Ralph Geiger because him and Brogan found this man who was very down on his luck, homeless. He didn't have much family. He ended up being their first victim.
I was going to say, they probably killed him, right?
Yeah, he looked a lot like Richard Beasley, and I think that that's why they chose him.
Big guy with a beard.
They killed him, and they took his identity, and so everywhere he went, he just used Ralph Geiger's ID, and he used his identity to do whatever he wanted to, including get an apartment and just be known as Ralph Geiger. So Richard claims his innocence, but Brogan is given a deal to testify against Richard, which he does.
Because he's a child.
Because he's 16 years old.
Even though he's a psycho.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes out
okay.
that they repeated the scam. They targeted middle-aged men who were down on their luck and traveling with pretty much all their belongings in their cars.
Question.
And they...
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they take what's-his-face's stuff when they went
they
out to kill
usually
him?
they kill him and then they go back and take their car,
did they
take their
freak
stuff.
out because they
freaked out
missed?
because he got out. Yeah, he fled.
Okay.
And since he didn't have their real name or anything, that's why he went by Jack instead of Ralph, because it would still kind of come back to him because he has a house or he has an apartment and he has, all these things. There was never a farm. But in between Scott, the one who got away, and him being captured, they did end up killing another man named Timothy Kern, who was the last victim just days before he was arrested. And they all look like the same. You can tell they're going through things, and they probably don't have as much family looking for them.
So were they like a surrogate? Isn't that what they say? Like a surrogate victim, so they look like somebody that they actually want to kill?
So the first one was, yeah.
And then they just kept killing people that look like that?
No, well, they just kept killing people who were down on their luck, but they could steal from them and kill them and leave them. And
that you don't like
no one would miss them.
Yeah, like the serial killers that kill like prostitutes. It's like nobody's gonna look for a prostitute.
A means of opportunity.
In their mind, people do look for them.
Yes.
But.
So Brogan claimed that he was motivated by fear. He was afraid, and he knew that Richard was a certain type of guy when Richard ended up killing someone in front of him. And then he said he was just so afraid that he just went on with it. Brogan ended up, in his trial, getting life with no parole. Wow. And that happened in 2013. Or 2012, sorry.
Even though he testified against Richard?
Yes.
So he just didn't get the death penalty.
So he didn't get the death penalty, which as a 16-year-old you would hope that they wouldn't.
Well, I was surprised that they gave him life even for being 16.
Well, he's a psychopath, obviously.
Right, so. I understand. But, like, just looking at the justice system from an objective point of view, it's weird that they'd give him life even.
As a child.
Yeah. Not just, like,
Ohio
25.
doesn't play.
They don't play around.
But then
I'm messing around.
Richard ended up getting the death penalty in 2013. His ex-wife was interviewed, and she thinks that he was killing people long before they found this out. Okay. So she thinks that he, has a past of doing this.
Where's the daughter and where's Tanya in all this?
Tanya had a bunch of interviews too, and I mean, most of her interviews were very reminiscent on how good of a father he used to be, and how crazy it is that this happened, because it was just out of the blue. And you never want to think of someone you love as capable of doing anything like this.
Yeah.
But Beasley put in a request for his death penalty to be reconsidered, and he was denied in 2017, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's still sitting on death row.
Yeah. Hoping for an appeal of some kind, so at least he doesn't get the death penalty. It shows,
like, you can't trust anybody. Like, Craigslist, don't go out and meet some random person.
No.
Although I did meet both of my earlier roommates.
I was going to
off
say, I met at
Craigslist,
least
so-
one
I don't
roommate.
do anything on Craigslist because I'm a crazy person and I'm afraid I'm going to get murdered.
Yeah, like this.
Well, it's a possibility.
it's always
apparently.
a possibility.
Apparently,
Apparently.
you could get murdered.
It's true.
That's scary, though. So what's Scott Davis, like, what did he do then with, like, the rest of his life? Did he go into, like, witness protection or something weird?
I think that he
just went on living his life.
He just went on living his life.
All
I
right.
mean, I don't see why he would go on witness protection if the people
Yeah, the
that
people
tried
are
to kill him
convicted.
are yeah.
Yeah. That's
It's like,
fair.
I think you go on witness protection if you, like
a mob or
Mob,
something.
yeah.
Goes after
Okay.
you.
you're like,
You're right.
there's 300 people that are out to get me.
Not just these two
That
that are
are
currently
in
in
jail.
prison for life and the death penalty. Wow. That's crazy, though. That's terrifying.
It is terrifying that it was happening right next door.
I want to know, like, if he did kill other people. Like, I want him to say that he did or didn't. Because if he killed other people and was never, like, convicted then what happened with those people, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or why
also,
aren't those other people, like, why aren't their families being like, where the, you know, well, I guess maybe if they're, like, missing persons reports had never
Yeah.
been connected to
Yeah.
that case, like, that's a thing.
and it could also be just a jaded ex-wife, too. She
Yeah.
could be like, oh, well, he did this, so he obviously did it before, even if he
Right.
hadn't. So we can just hope that he
Tina's
only
pissed.
killed those. Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I'd be pissed.
I'd be
if
pissed.
my ex-husband turned out to be a serial killer.
Or even if your husband, like, that's just
Yeah,
how do you
even while they're married.
cope with
or,
something like that.
just anyone that you know. I feel like it'd be hard.
Yeah,
If
it would
it's,
change
like,
your life
anyone.
forever.
Change your life.
Yeah. Well,
So that's our crime for this week.
interesting.
We hope that you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, let us know again. Like we said, email us and social media us.
Yeah,
Hit us
if
up
you
on
want,
the Instagram.
If you'd like to sponsor an episode, email us at popcrimewine@gmail.com or, retweet one of our awesome memes that we post on Twitter at
Because they're
popcrimewine.
hilarious.
And let us know what you think. If you like this new structure.
Yeah, we are doing this for you, so we need feedback. So please let us know.
Also, just say hi.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'd be happy to give a little hello.
Hey, friends.
Hey, friends.
So this has been Pop Crime and Wine, and we will
See you next Tuesday.
Tuesday.